Okay, here we
There
go.
he is.
Here we go. Better late than never.
Yeah.
I've been sitting and watching y'all talking about what you've been doing
Yeah.
and everything else.
Yeah.
I've been here in spirit. I just wasn't physically here.
What's
That's
up,
what's up.
legend?
Now we
What's
got all
going
three of
on?
you on.
What's the
So
deal?
we're going to get this thing started. I'm so excited that you all have taken the time to join me. Listen, guys, if you're on here, I need you to share this live video because we're going to talk about just music. We're going to talk about So Good. Yes, Asaph is on here. Someone said the OG.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We are going to talk about some things, and later on we're going to answer some questions, and then we're going to just pour into you guys, and then we're going to let you go on about your day. Not going to hold you long. I am Sharon Ann. I am a songwriter, a musician, an artist. Listen, I like to sum it up by saying I am a lover of the arts, creative at heart. I'm just a creative, and I'm passionate about what I do in the arts and entertainment. Most of all, love God. I'm going to give them an opportunity to share a little bit about themselves, but I want to talk about how I became connected with each one of them. I'm going to start with Darryl, little man Howell. He and I became connected through Jonathan McReynolds, I believe, back in 2017, and he kind of, you know, shared that he thought it would be a great idea for he and I to work together. And from then on, we connected and started working on music. And then you got the Asaph Alexander Ward. Listen, I am no stranger to his catalog, right? But I officially met him in 2018, and we were connected through Thaddeus Tribbett. If you know who Thaddeus Tribbett is, he's an awesome producer, songwriter, bass player. Many of us were introduced to him through his brother, Ty Tribbett. So he introduced Asaph and I, and that's all that needed to occur. And then in 2018, Asaph and I started working together. I became introduced to Percy because Percy is one of the originators and composers of this track, So Good, which he and I were introduced through Darryl.
Yeah.
All right, so without further ado, Darryl, can you introduce yourself, share a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to follow with Percy and then Asaph, and then we're going to hop into the song.
Yeah, I'm Darryl. Everybody calling me Little Man. That's my mom's fault. But yeah, just producer from Chicago, drummer, and songwriter. Mainly collaborator, though. I think that's my specialty. You know, I just love working with other people. I love bringing worlds together, which is what I think we've been able to do.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, not a lot about me. I want to keep this about, you know, Sharon Ann and So Good and all the great stuff we're about to do together. You know,
Absolutely.
yeah.
It's on and popping. Percy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm Percy from Chicago, writer, producer, the whole nine. I want to say that I'm extremely grateful to be a part of this record. It's the amazing thing that has come, like, from where it started to where it is now. But yeah, that's pretty much. I do that. I'll play guitar as my first, the instrument that I feel strongest about. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Asaph.
Well, I'm Asaph.
Needs no introduction.
Right.
You can just stop. You can just stop. Yeah.
Please.
I have played organ for a church. I have been an usher. I have taught Sunday school. I have done all of those things, but I am a record producer. And again, I've also worked with Sharon, and actually I have the privilege of managing Sharon.
Yes.
A lot of business affair things. And for the most part, I like what Darryl said. He said he's a collaborator. And the truth of the matter is that's what production is. Producing is about collaborating. If you can't collaborate with other people, then you're really not a producer. You're the artist.
Woo!
Because a lot of times producers produce their albums on artists instead of actually collaborating with an artist to make sure their brand is accentuated. So one thing I did love about working with you guys and Sharon is Sharon was able to be herself. She was able to create what she wanted on top of what y'all started.
Yes.
And then you guys were able to be a part of the DNA of what made this song be what it is, which there would never be another song like this because this collaboration would have to do another song, you know,
Yeah.
which we have. So I do appreciate your collaborative heart. That's what really being a producer is, you know. So I celebrate both of you guys. So I'm here to celebrate and be a part of this.
Man, right.
Absolutely.
He's dropping gems already. Listen, okay, so let's hop into the song So Good. I promise you, when Lil Man sent me the track, I connected with it immediately. And when that happens, typically lyrics begin to flow. There are some times where you get a track and you got to sit with it, let it grow on you. And then there are certain tracks where it's like it resonates immediately. And when I heard the track, it gave me this old school meets new school type of vibe. It was very soulful yet contemporary. And I was just like, oh, this is pretty out of the norm for me, but yet I like to be challenged in areas that will pull out the best in me and cause me to grow. And so with this type of song, I said, you know what, I'm gonna go for it. I'm feeling it. And as I sat in my room, I began to allow the music to play. And as the music was playing, the lyrics began to flow. And I'm the type of songwriter that allows the music to create a vision for me. It creates a vision. And whatever I see based on what I'm hearing is what I begin to pen. Most times that's how it happens for me. I absolutely fell in love with the song, with the track. And we have Percy. Oh, okay. Percy,
Yes.
I want to ask you about the concept of this song. Can you share with me the concept, how it started?
Okay, cool. So I'll be honest with you. It was one of the days that you're just sitting in a room and I'm getting familiar with new gear that I had.
Yeah.
And literally started to play loops. Like, I got to shout out my guitar players, man. All my guitar players that sit in the room and just loop stuff and play over it. That's how it came. I know God gave me something special because as the idea began to form, I was like, whoa, this is really cool. And I was like, at the time, I was fairly new to, production.
Okay.
And I remember the idea, like, actually coming, the chords coming together, the melody coming together. And I was like, whoa, man, what should I do next? And I immediately thought of Little Man. And I was like, Little Man, I got this idea, dude. And I sent it to him. And he was like, dude, this is, he gave me the affirmation. And I was like, yo, I'm like, oh my gosh, man.
Yeah.
And back something like immediately. I feel like, Little Man, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I felt like it was within like a 10-minute period. Little Man sent me something back like, dude, we should do something like this with the track. And I was like, whoa, you know what I mean? Where this initial idea could go, he started to give me direction, like, oh, we could do this. And I was like, oh, okay, this is how you build upon an initial thing. But honestly, it was me in the room. And it's funny that you say, like, you just listening to it. I probably listened to this loop a million times when coming together. But that was pretty much it, the initial thing.
So the initial thing is that you were looping this, you were listening back, you created it, you were fresh to production. And so then the first person that comes to mind is Darryl. And you send the song to Darryl, and Darryl connects to it and says, this is how we can expand upon what you started. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay.
It wasn't even a song. It was just literally a recording of me on a video being like, hey, man, check this out.
Okay. Wow.
We put it together in the song. So.
Wow. Amazing. So let's talk about that. When you were introduced to what Percy sent you, Darryl, can you tell me what you felt and then what came to mind for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was a minute ago. Like, and that's why it's so crazy. I can't wait for y'all to hear the rest of the stuff with Sharon because we've been working on this stuff for a minute. Yeah. So we talking maybe, I don't know, PJ, maybe what, 4 years ago?
Yeah.
4 or 5 years ago?
It was more than that.
Yeah. So
2014.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I don't I don't really remember, but we work all the time, and PJ will send me like little sections or loops all the time, and I'm like, I'm just able to hear like this is a whole song.
Yeah.
Lyrics, of course, didn't come to me right away, but the other parts and the music and just the pieces that we needed to add. So I just put drums. I just did drums, and he hear loop, I hear format. Like I hear the whole thing. I put drums, and then I'm like, okay, let's get Paul. And then I think one time we were all in the studio together and cut it, together just to see, and just kept cutting it and kept building it, and then, sent it to you, and it was perfect. Man.
Wow.
But yeah, nothing really. I just knew it could be a whole song. I didn't know if it was like a, it felt. I think I named it like Vintage Mary Mary or something. I started naming it
actually
like
do
that.
You labeled it that.
Yeah, because I was just like, well, I know Sharon working, if we can get it on whoever or whatever, cool. But so that was kind of in my mind, like what would they do now, but still sound old school,
Yeah.
And that's it. We just put more musicians on it and just kept building it and building it. That's it.
And that's amazing because you said something. Originally, I was trying to get this song placed with somebody else. I love the song, and I was able to write it, but I think at that mode, at that time, I'm sorry, I needed songs for myself, yet I was still interested in getting songs placed. And I remember this being an idea that I would like to submit to somebody else, only because I do believe somewhere under there, I was afraid of singing this type of song because I feel like it may not be in my element. We're going to get into that when Asaph and I talk about the studio experience. But, it's really something how the song was really meant for me. The band, why did you choose who you chose?
Because they funky, and you funky. So it's just, the loop was funky. So, and then Lawrence Jones, who played some more guitars. It's like we all working together all the time anyway. So,
yeah,
it was just easy. They were just there. Paul is funky. And then I had Ariane, play on the last, who's an amazing piano player. He plays with Layla Hathaway. He plays with Donald Lawrence. And he just added his clavs. And then we get horns. We get Leo, who's a genius, who plays everything. Then we get Asaph to kind of make sure that all this stuff can blend and work together and like get on the radio and play his keys and strings, his classic stuff to make it, to kind of keep us, pull us back if we need it. You know what I mean? To kind of make sure that we're still within, not doing too much, too musical, but even the whole quartet drive thing on the end. And we did all this stuff without even being in the same room.
Wow.
So like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't come to y'all session, but Asaph being the last person to kind of put the cherry on top to make sure we musically in the right direction and it just work.
Yeah.
But he's a great collaborator. This is what he do.
Just so y'all know, Kevin Powell added organ on it last because we felt like we needed organ. So shout out to Kevin Powell too. He ended up joining the party on that.
Shout out to Kevin. Wow, that's dope. That's dope. So since we're on you, Asaph, let's talk about the studio experience. When you heard the track and I brought this song to you for us to record, what did you think initially? I know we got some type of frequency.
Yeah, we don't know where it's coming from. We know it's not Little Man because he disappeared.
I'm muted. Heard it. I've been trying to make sure I keep muting myself. That's why I keep swiping the wrong way.
Let's do a production thing. Let's mute our phones and see if it go away.
All right.
I have to see.
I don't hear anything. All right.
Okay, I'm unmuting, so we're gonna see if it's doing noise. If not, then that means it's Percy. So all you got to do is when you're not talking, Percy, you just got to mute.
Got you.
But that was funny. We was all trying to figure out when we gonna decide to find where this problem's coming from.
Yeah, we found it. We found it.
So, well, first of all, as a producer that has produced a lot of music over the years, one thing that I always pride myself on is being able to celebrate and enjoy what other people do.
Yeah.
I've never been the type of person that just always want to hear what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know, so when I heard it, well, first of all, we got to go, Little Man and myself, years ago, he was playing at a convention, and it was him and some stems. And this particular stem didn't even have a click track. It was kind of like a hi-hat or something. I don't know. No, it was guitars. He was playing with some guitars, and I never heard, you know, there's a ton of great drummers out there. This just blew me away because he was so solid and locked. I said, man, his drums is in the stems. There's no way this is him. And I never forget, I told him that. Didn't I tell you? I told you at the end of that. We're talking about years ago. Yeah. And I said, yeah, man, one day, man, I want to connect with you. We're going to work. You know, at conventions, we all have a good habit of, you know, being excited about one another, celebrate one another, taking down numbers, saying we want to work, and then you just never work. That's just kind of what musicians do. They never want to admit it, but that's what we do. We call it convention talk. Call it playing the mayor. But this time I took his number down, and we didn't connect yet. But I was so shocked when Sharon Ann let me hear the track, and she was saying Little Man. I didn't know who Little Man was. I knew who Darryl was because that's the number I took down.
Right.
And once I realized who that was, I was so excited because I knew I was supposed to do something with Darryl. So it was really God sent to me how it happened. The track was wonderful. It was dynamics. It wasn't just everybody playing the same volumes and velocities. It was such a wonderful, wonderful track. And of course, I know Sharon. Sharon gets a lot of music and she enjoys a lot of music, but she will not participate with a lot of music. Sharon has to feel something. If Sharon's not feeling something, she ain't doing it. She's very honest and true to music. And if she don't like what she did, she ain't doing it. Like she just true to everything. So when she says, I really like this song, in my mind as a producer, I'm like, we're doing this. I don't care if I didn't like the song. Sharon was feeling this song so hard, and that made the song even much better. So my initial opinion of the song is I knew it was a great song. And to be honest with you, it was done before Six Sonic started doing music. And it was kind of like just bridging the old and the new school together. It was nothing new under the sun. We've been having these styles forever, but this was the first time I actually heard it, you know, fused the way that it was.
Yeah.
So it was wonderful to me.
It was. And so when Asaph and I got into the studio, all right, remember y'all, I told you that there was some underlying fear because this type of track did challenge me. I had no problem writing the lyrics, but when it got to the end of the song and you have to church that thing and make it extra funky, I said, now Asaph, I don't know if I can really do this. He and I thank God for his patience, his temperance, because he's behind the glass and he's trying to tell me, trust me, you got it, you can do it. And I'm telling him, nah, man, this ain't gonna work. I don't know. And he's encouraging me. I'm receiving, yet I'm not receiving. But I knew I loved the song, and I'm not the type of person to back down from a challenge. And so I really, really asked Asaph, which he was already doing. It's just that I was resisting to help me get through a song. And one thing Asaph will do, anybody who's worked with him that's a vocalist or an artist, he knows how to produce some vocals. He knows how to produce a lead vocal. He will pull the best out of you. He really knows what he's doing. And honestly, I actually believe that I can't fathom another person to be in the studio with. You know how you find somebody that you connect with and you know it works, and you don't have to go and look for somebody else. This works. This is who I'm going to work with. Asaph is that person for me. It's like, if I gotta record a song, Asaph, you gotta be in there and you gotta help me produce this. You gotta pull this out of me. I trust his ear and I trust his voice. What do you mean trust his voice? He has a lot of wisdom. He really does. And experience, y'all. He's so humble. He did not go down the list of individuals that he has worked with, both on the secular and gospel side. He's trusted in the industry. And you can trust what he says. No one is perfect, but I tell you what, he's almost close. No, but seriously, he made me so comfortable. He made the experience so comfortable. And I'm so grateful just for the opportunity that I had to be able to work with him with this song on this entire album, honestly. Asaph, is there an experience you remember while being in the studio with me recording this? Because I already told them I was resistant. When we got to the end, I was good in the beginning. And also, like, we're creative. We can bounce off each other. And anytime I'm like, oh, I hear this harmony. I hear this. And I'm just going to plug this here, y'all. I broke this song down. You can hear it on YouTube. I stripped it down. You can hear the vocals. You will hear what these harmonies are actually doing. There are at least 9 parts that are going on. It's crazy. But he and I would bounce off ideas. And if I had something, he'd be like, hey, yeah, let's try it. Let's see how it works. If it works, let's go for it. And then he would have ideas that he would give me. But let's talk about that experience real quick, Asaph.
Well, first of all, the bar was set with the track.
Yes.
One thing that we often do with production, we often feel like because a singer individually is just an amazing person already, before music or a song, sometimes we lead with that. And then musicians, they may even overplay or they may underplay. And then you got the artists who may only know how to sing one style, but because they are amazing, you just think they can sing anything, so you throw them on something. So immediately, we had a bar to catch up to because the track was wonderful by itself.
Yes,
you could have made a guitar be the soloist. You could have made a sax be a soloist. You could have made anything be the soloist. That could have been it was a song.
Yeah.
So with Sharon, the good thing about Sharon is she's right. She doesn't back down from any challenge. I don't care if she feels like she's going to hurt herself. She is going to take on a challenge. I think what I encountered the most is Sharon is a producer herself. Okay, she is a vocal arranger herself. She understands musicians. She's an MD over her band, at her mom's church, and she will get on the keys. She would know the chords. She would tell you what the chords are. So what it is she went ahead and allowed herself to be free to be coached.
Yeah.
Because what it is a lot of singers like Sharon, they're in a position to where they gotta always produce themselves. They gotta sing everything themselves. The fact that she was able to do that, there's another artist that can do that. Eric Dawkins do that. When every time I do something with Eric Dawkins, he says, hey, tell me what to do. What are we doing? When he's producing everybody, he's like amazing singer. It takes an humble mindset to be able to say, I want to be challenged. I want to be stretched. And to be honest with you guys, what I actually did was I took what she is and I just magnified it. I didn't tell her what to do. If we had a problem, I'm really good. God helps me with figuring out how we can solve something. But for the most part, this was all her. It's like all I had to do was supervise and enhance her and tell her God is with you when I need to say it, and then give her a few minutes and leave her alone when she need a break from me. Because Sharon was like, I need a minute. I'm like, At first, I didn't know what that meant. And I was like, okay, I gave her a minute. I was like, okay. She said, no, I'm not done. I was like, okay, you know. Then I learned she need, you know, all artists have their things, but she needed a minute. But she is already a creative herself. So producers, when you get artists like a Sharon Ann, the whole idea is to collaborate, to partner, and that's really what we did. I enjoyed working with her because she would do whatever songs like "On You to God," which we gonna do later. I'm sure we talk about. There was harmonies and different things. She G for whatever, and there was a moment I would say, "Hey, do this," and she didn't even agree probably at the time with it, but she did it, and then it worked itself out. But she is a fair artist. She's a fair artist. I love that. So are you, little man. And Percy, getting to know you too, I'm pretty sure you are too, just based off your story. But she's a fair artist. When I say fair, she's not trying to control. It's her baby. At the end of the day, she got to do what's best for her. It's her record. You know, most artists, it's y'all's record. But when you all can be open to hearing what little man thinks, hearing what I'm thinking, so let's try this. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, no. I don't like that line. I could have loved it. If she don't like it, I have a rule. You do it over if you don't like it. We do it over if I don't like it. And if I like it and you don't like it, I keep it, but I let you do it over.
He does.
So, yeah.
Yes.
So she would do something 30 times. And then she would decide, okay, I'm going to keep my old one. Or she'll show me I could do it better. So I love how hard she works. So that was my experience. I work with anybody that want to work hard.
Yes.
But she actually had something that I felt like was rare. And that is she's very committed to being excellent in the studio, outside the studio. That means the writing, that means the ad-libbing, that means the singing. She did the backgrounds first. I got to say this. She sung the backgrounds of how she hears it. And what we did was, little man, I don't know if you know this, but the first time you heard it, it was already great. Well, we went back in the studio and we ended up stacking more and redoing some of them. Okay. And that's before we added the other background singers to it. So it's a lot of hard work. We're talking about probably over 60 possibly background vocals that's on this song.
Wow.
You know, with all the stacks. I mean, Sharon by herself had 40 plus tracks that she was doing by herself. So that part's fun. You know, that was incredible for me. Anyway, that's my story.
Yeah. And you know what, you said something while you were talking, you know, the word collaborate that has been mentioned is so important. And I believe in collaborating. And with this song, I knew it deserved to have other voices on it. So shout out to Joseph Anthony, Eternia Garrett, and Brittany Anderson for joining me on the BGVs. I mean, they can pretty much do whatever you ask of them. Brittany soprano, Eternia alto, Joseph tenor. They were amazing, and you'll hear their voices throughout the tracks, especially at the end when they're doing their riffs and runs. I mean, incredible job, and it did take work, because one thing I like to do is demo, give some type of idea of what we're going for, and then build from there. So I had an amazing time doing this. Right now, as we begin to shift, if there's anyone who has a question that they want to ask, maybe Asaph, Percy, sorry, little man, you can do that by clicking that question mark at the bottom. We'll take a few questions. We'll answer those. In the interim, before we leave, I want to ask each of you if you had any advice to share with upcoming producers. What would you advise? If you have a question, you can tap that question mark, or you can ask it in the comment section. Again, if you had any advice to share with upcoming producers, what would you advise? I'm going to start with you, Percy.
Okay. So I would say be brave. I think it's important for you to put down that naturally come to you, the things that are unique about you, emphasize them. Let them be what they are. Let the idea be what it is, because once you start it, the possibilities are literally, and I believe that I learned that the most from being around people that I admire. Little Man is a person that I admire as a producer, as a player, as a person. And he never I never felt pigeonholed. And I felt like that was because I was being myself. It was a space allowed to be myself. So I would say all producers, even if it's a loop, you know what I mean? A loop can get you far as you can see, you know what I mean? So I think that be brave. Be brave. Be original.
I love that. Be brave and original. Darryl.
Same. Yeah, you can't be afraid. You know, you got to trust your sound. Again, try not to copy, because if they want who you're imitating, they could just go pay them and get them.
Yeah.
You'll never really get your shot. So, again, like we've been saying, don't be afraid to collaborate.
Yes.
Find your mentors early, and you know, hold on to them no matter how far you get. You know, no matter how far you know what I'm saying. You still kind of need to sit up under them. I love that. You know, I had Aaron Sledge. I had Isa. I had Monte Falone. Now I have an Asaph. Now I have the Adam Blackstones, and and I'm still holding on to them because I need them to survive in this industry. So all of those things.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. I love that. I see questions coming in. Asaph, what would you advise?
Oh, along with what they said, which is I think is an amazing. I believe that it's going to be important as producers not to treat production like a gig. You know, you have to treat it as something that's necessary.
Yeah.
Because no matter who pays Darryl or myself or yourself or Percy to do something, if they're not paying us, we're still going to get on our gift and use it. You know, so when you're producing and you're only working because you're working towards the bag, it's not enough to sustain the gift that God gave you. So I would say, don't treat production like a gig. Treat it like a necessity, and allow God to be a part of that whole process. And to their brave thing, brave comes from people playing the comparison game. Because when you're playing the comparison game, there's nothing new under the sun. You know, we'll hear something like, man, I wish I'd have came up with the track. I didn't, but if I'm going to compare myself, I'm going to create a fear that never existed. And that's going to infiltrate, and it's going to affect the music that we create. I feel like if God called you to do a gift and he gave you music, just do it. Don't compare yourself to no one. You can glean from other people, but don't the comparison game causes people to commit spiritual and physical suicide. No comparison.
Wow.
Just be the greatest producer you can be, and don't treat it like a gig.
Absolutely. Great advice. Great advice. We're going to go ahead and answer a few of these questions. Someone asked, I think that's Music 860, what's the best startup equipment? Darryl, what's the best startup equipment? What would you say?
Now, today, get you a computer. Get you a MacBook, an Apple computer. And figure out what software, probably get all the software and learn how to just see which one you work with the best. Whether it's Logic, Pro Tools, Ableton, whatever they have, Studio One, they got so many things out here. But first, please get that computer, because you're not doing nothing without that right now. Even if you have other machines, you got to have your computer. So I would say a MacBook Pro, ASAP.
Yep. Listen, right. And my startup was a MacBook. You probably can't see it, but I have this Bluebird mic behind me. I got some Sony, what is this? MDR 7506s. I got this Scarlett Ray, this interface. Listen, and I work with Pro Tools. That was my startup. Now I got these Yamahas here. I didn't get them later on, but my first thing was my Mac, my Focusrite, this mic, headphones. And along the way, I had individuals that were advising me on how to use it. And I didn't know everything initially, but then as I became consistent, I grew, and it worked for me.
And Sharon, not to cut you off, but you should tell your singers and fellow writers, you know, like, have a setup, because we can't link up and go to the studio all the
Very
time.
true.
We can't, you know, the industry is not working that way. You know, everybody's not getting called out or flown out to do sessions. So, you know,
Yes,
have your
that is
stuff,
so good.
you know, have
That
your
is so
stuff.
good.
Yeah.
A lot of the opportunities came to me because I had my own setup. Let me tell you something. Melvin Crispell's latest album that I vocally produced and arranged, I did that in my room.
That's right.
I did that in my room, y'all. Right. In my room, and I sent it off to Dantanel. Yeah. Shout out to him.
Yeah. Shout out to Jamil.
All right. Shout out to him. Who approached me about this opportunity, just due to the fact that I was brave and courageous to step out and put myself out there, even when I was discouraged, even when I was nervous, even when I compared myself, even when I thought I didn't fit, I still did it. You know what I'm saying? And so when I put myself out there, people begin to see your gift will make room for you. But if you hide it, if you bury it, no one will be exposed to it. And you got to be consistent. You have to trust God. All right. So very important. Have your own setup. I have a question from, hey girl, Jamila. Asaph, can you answer this? What would you say to a singer-songwriter who has recorded a few songs but never got music out there and gave up for a while? I'm interested in trying again, but I feel I may be rusty.
Okay, first of all, your body has to prove what you believe. So if you believe you're rusty, you're going to have rusty behavior. It's no secret that all of us have been discouraged before, been defeated before. But my advice to that question would be, you're in a great space with where music is today, because music is no longer a place to just make money from. You can't really make so much money from streaming. And to me, there's so much room out there for everybody. If you have music and you're not putting it out, then it's what Sharon just said. You're burying it. That's what happened with the talents. The one that had the two, and they had the five. You know, God said he gave those talents out due to their several abilities.
Yeah.
And the one that had the one buried their gift, and that person was considered wicked. So at the end of the day, we have to be careful when God gives us something, not to allow man to make us bury it. Because sometimes that's why we do it.
Yeah.
We do it because it's not ready. You know, this person put this music out. It's not that great.
Ooh.
You know, I'm going to say this. Everyone has to stop being afraid of money. Y'all have to start having money conversations, because we don't want to spend money to cause our music to be what it needs to be. We don't like to spend money. Sometimes you got to invest your money into a keyboard player. Sometimes you got to say, hey, I got $200. Can you throw some keys down for me on this song so I can go in the studio and sing? You know what? I got this drummer. Hey, I need to come up with $800 because I got to pay these musicians $200 each. Well, whatever that is, don't let people keep you from putting your music out. Put the music out, because at the end of the day, music is now a business card.
Yes.
It's not even no longer a way to make money. You got to find other ways to make money. You got to get on the road. You got to get on the publishing side. So whoever sent this question, Jamila, do not bury what you have. Forget about what you didn't do. Today is the day to make moves today. Be the best version of yourself today. The Bible says, tend to the things of the day and let tomorrow take care of itself, because it's enough evil in the day. Forget what you didn't do, because that's what the devil wants you to keep thinking about.
Wow.
Think about what you can do right now, and just do it. And who's going to get mad? Let those 10 people listen to it. Let those 1,000 people listen to it. Let the 1 million people listen to it. It doesn't matter. You're being obedient, and you're not burying your gift, like Sharon said. Wow. Put that music out right now.
Ooh, amazing.
Me, G. Asaph University for free today. Y'all you can't pay for this. I'm sorry. People working.
No songs in folders.
This person may have come in a little later. They said, I love creative people. What role did everyone on the panel play in creating this song? So, Percy?
So, I believe I can say that I came up with the initial chord progression, the initial idea.
Yeah. And then after Percy sent it to Darryl. Darryl, what role did you play?
I missed the question.
They want to know what role did everyone play in creating this song?
I laid drums. I kind of gave the song format. So I guess I produced one of the producers.
Yeah.
And then we gave it to the other two producers, Sharon and Asaph, and y'all produced it. And now y'all get the song. Basically, I mean that's basically what it is.
Yeah.
But I physically played drums and percussion and, you know, kind of the referee, and then, you know, we passed it along.
Yep. And I, of course, once I received it from Darryl, I penned the song out and presented it to Asaph. Asaph and I got in the studio. I laid these BGVs, and then Asaph did what?
To be honest with you, I became a project manager. I ended up taking, you know, having conversations with Darryl of what was needed. That's when we decided we was going to add Leo on the horns. And then we needed a little B3 slides here and there. We added KP on that. You know, Sharon needed. We had conversations about adding background vocals, and then, you know, just putting it all together. We talked about the mix. You know, we sent the mix to Darryl. We didn't just get something from them and then disappear. Right. You know, Darryl was a part of that. He listened to it. Hey, man, that snare might be too loud. You know, I project manage. That's what producers are. We paid to make decisions. For some reason, somewhere along the line, producers became, you know, just because we MD, we feel like we're producing. No, producers make decisions. Yeah. And that's really what we all are on, even on this thing. You make decisions. And I just project managed it, brought it all together, just make sure the artist is happy, make sure the contributors that started the song is respected, make sure that they felt like the song didn't change. We kept the essence of everything. I didn't call my guys in to replay nothing. You know, it was good, you know. So project management, I would say that's what I did. I produced from that standpoint with everything I do. It's project management.
Yes, awesome. And all of you are amazing. Someone asked a question about what's my favorite song to sing in church. I wish I could answer that question. There are quite a few songs that I love, and maybe I'll be able to answer that one day. I can't really say what my favorite song is, but there's so many. We're getting ready to end here. This has been so incredible. I really do appreciate all of you, you know, hopping on. When we talk about creatives, I also want to shout out KP Walls and Drake Studios, because that graphic that you see was shot by Drake Studios, and he also created the graphic. I mean, he heard the vision and he put that thing together, okay? KP, wardrobe stylist. Both of them are in Houston. I tagged them, I credited them a few posts back. They did an amazing job with putting the icing on the cake with how we were going to present the image to everyone. So shout out to them. If I had to give some advice as a producer, an artist, BGV, a creative myself, I would encourage everyone to embrace, expand, so you can evolve. And those three words came to me because I had to realize that, one, in order to overcome insecurity, you got to be able to embrace what God is giving you. Everyone is unique, right? We talked about that. So I had to first embrace, right? This is what God has given me. This is what I'm going to cultivate. This is how I'm going to work. And speaking of the word work on it, that's how you expand. Asaph used the word invest. As I invest in myself, as I invest in a vocal coach, they're going to teach me certain things that I didn't know, which is going to expand my knowledge. As I listen to other styles of music, I begin to expand. I begin to study various ways of how to maneuver for certain types of songs, right? As I just begin to invest just in musicality, you have no choice but to expand, even as it pertains to spiritual awareness, because I am a Christian. So being able to expand myself even in that area is going to affect me overall. So as I embrace, I expand because I've invested, I have no choice but to evolve. Have an open mind. Be open to what God speaks to you. Be open to what he gives you. And don't be afraid to connect and collaborate. There's room for everybody, honestly. So do not be afraid to connect and to collaborate. Just have that discernment and wisdom on who you are supposed to connect with. And I believe that you acknowledge God in all your ways, he will direct your path. So with that being said, y'all, So Good is out. Make sure you go ahead, download, stream, and share. It's available on all digital platforms. It's up on YouTube where you can go and check out the BTS Behind the Stems. You get a more in-depth understanding of how these vocals were produced. Again, thank you all so much for joining me today. Asaph got one thing to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's about you in this song. You mentioned something about the vamp and not being, really ready of it. I ready for it. I want to encourage artists to experience what Sharon Ann experienced. We got to remember that we aren't the consumer. Sometimes because we put ourselves as the consumer while we're working on our music, we forfeit things that we can be given to other people.
Wow.
Sharon Ann will not just choose to evangelize or maybe just say, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go lay these people out, or I'm going to go preach. When she's put into those predicaments, she allows God to use her in those predicaments. This was a time we knew that evangelism was on her. I saw it. I had mentioned it. And I told her, I said, well, you can't run from evangelism too, because if it's up to her, she'll just prefer maybe not to do it, but she's not going to let God's people suffer if she's in a room and people need it. Then have y'all ever done that? Like, y'all know y'all don't want to do something, and then you turn around and then you're just doing it. It's because that's how God is with us. If we can remember, we are not the consumer, that we are here to be used as vessels to do whatever it is that God called us to do, because that's what Sharon did on that vamp. I was like, as I was encouraging her to do it, she's like, I don't want to do that. I don't do it like this person, and I don't do that. As soon as that music was on,
Right.
Oh,
okay. So who was that? And like, God did it. She laughed at herself.
I did.
And it was beautiful. But you really ministered on that song, and I just think it's great. It shows a little bit of everything, and I just wanted to commend you on that. And I'm sure you don't even have that challenge anymore, but there's some artists out there that believe some things aren't for them. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean God don't want you to do it.
Woo!
So, Asaph,
drop the
mic.
Nothing else.
That's it. That is it. Wow. I'm going to take this, guys. I'm going to upload this on YouTube because I'm pretty sure everything that has been mentioned on this live, someone needs to hear. And you all drop some gems, some words of encouragement, words of wisdom. I know most definitely I'm going to go back and replay this because it is so needed. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Yes, it is a word. Thank you all for tuning in and for sharing. Go download, stream, and share So Good today. And y'all, this music video is coming. It's brewing. I am sitting in my mind. I'm visualizing. And I'm like, how are we going to make this thing pop? So we're going to get it done. We're going to get it done. All right? So y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day.
You
See you soon.
See ya.
You too now.
Bye.